Alright guys, so it's kind of like Christmas, or maybe I should say like my birthday, since yesterday was my birthday. These two shoes both came in the mail yesterday for my birthday, and I am looking forward to reviewing both of these here in the next week or two. But we've got the Skechers GoRun Ride 8, which I'm going to talk about today, and the Skechers Razor 3 here. So I'm looking forward to running in this shoe as well, but for today I'm going to go take my first impression run of this one, and then I'm going to come back and report to you guys what I think about it. Alright everybody, so we got our run done and we went 5.5 miles in an 8-minute 27-second per mile pace, and we're going to talk a little bit about the pace here in a second as we get into this Skechers GoRun Ride 8 Hyper. So this shoe, when I got this shoe, what I was really looking for was a shoe that was going to meet 3 criteria, and that was a daily trainer that was lighter, that was going to be more responsive, and that was also going to be durable. And that's exactly how they market this shoe, is that it's lighter due to the hyperburst foam, which is also the reason that it is more responsive. And they also talk a lot about their Goodyear rubber on the bottom of their shoe. So we're going to get into those things. So what I first want to take a look at though is this upper. The upper is this knit material here that is, you can see that it's kind of got this little bump in the front. And I was a little upset about that. Whenever I started to kind of cinch things down through the laces, I could tell that this was going to bunch up. There was like a little too much material kind of here in the forefoot, and that bothered me a little bit. Felt like there was a lot of extra space right above the heads of my metatarsals on this initial run. Once I got going, I didn't really notice it too much, but it did feel like there was a little kind of swimminess out there in the front of the forefoot. Now through the midfoot, I did feel like I was locked down pretty well. I didn't feel like there was a lot of movement in through there. Same thing with the heel. It's a pretty rigid heel back in here, and it kind of loops over the back, so it really grabs onto the back of your heel here. It's got a nice little pull tab if you like that, and I never really felt like I was slipping around in the back part of the shoe or in the midfoot. I did feel like there was a lot of kind of empty space out here in the forefoot. But overall, once I got going in the shoe, the initial impressions were that the hyperburst foam it's not as soft as I was expecting, and maybe I didn't really know what to expect, I guess, with this newer hyperburst foam. But it was responsive, so I did feel like I was kind of bouncy as I was getting going. And obviously with a lighter weight shoe, you add a little bit of extra bounce. I was having a little bit of a hard time controlling my pace. Whenever I go out for an easy day run like I was supposed to today, just 45 minutes, real nice and easy, I wanted to try and hit about 9 minutes a mile, maybe even 9:15. Like I said, I was running sub 8:30 per mile for 5.5 miles. And I just was having a really hard time controlling myself and pulling back on the reins, because I felt like I was having to kind of put on the brakes. Now this shoe does really encourage a midfoot to forefoot strike. It's got this M-strike midfoot strike technology, or kind of what it's promoting, this midfoot striking pattern, because it's got this little bit of a rocker to it. I could tell it was really trying to force me up into the front. Now, I tend to run more on my forefoot anyway, so maybe that's not fair to really say that, but I definitely felt like anytime I tried to come back into the heel, I kept quickly shooting right back into the front of the shoe, right back into the front of the foot, whenever I was out there trying to slow myself down. So as I said before, the midsole I didn't feel like was as cushy as I was expecting. And again, I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but I felt like I was definitely sitting on top of the midsole as opposed to sinking down into it. It wasn't cushy by any means, at least not to me. And maybe that was because I was putting so much weight through my forefoot, and I was actually starting to feel like my forefoot was starting to get sore. And if you've watched my previous video about the Ultra Paradigm 4.5, I've spent the last 250 miles in that shoe, so maybe I'm just comparing to that shoe, and it definitely feels different. Now, I wasn't expecting it to to feel exactly like the Ultra Paradigm. Obviously, they're completely different categories. The Ultra Paradigm is much heavier. This one's much lighter. This one's got the narrower toe box. The Ultras, obviously, they love the wider toe box. But I guess I wasn't expecting as big of a change in that feeling underfoot as I ended up getting. Now, I did hear a lot about the responsiveness of hyperburst, and I definitely felt that. I felt that I was really kind of popping off of the ground much easier than the Ultra's cushion that I was feeling. So my first impression of the shoe is I don't know yet. I can see with the rubber, there's plenty of it here. I think it's going to be a durable shoe as far as the outsole goes. I don't know how long the hyperburst is going to last. I've heard that it can be pretty durable, but hard to say. And then the upper, no issues with it in terms of obviously durability. It's the first run, have no idea what that's going to look like. But there's this little space out in here that hopefully doesn't start to bother me too much. But overall, I'm still looking forward to getting out and really working on putting in some miles with this shoe. How am I going to use it? So I think I'm going to stick with my Ultras for a little while on those really slow, easy days. Anything that's going to be like 9 minutes and above. But if I want to drop the pace down into the 8-minute, 8:30 range, I think I'm definitely going to go for this guy, because that responsiveness and that lightweight daily trainer feel is going to allow me to do that. I think that I just needed to get a little bit more used to learning how to run in this shoe. I think I need to learn how to use that midfoot a little bit better, rather than just always landing on that forefoot. So first impressions, I like it. I like the appearance of it. It's pretty plain. It's nothing flashy, and I'm okay with that. I'm not a super flashy guy. But I'm really looking forward to putting in the miles, seeing how well it does. I'm gonna do another review of this at 50 miles, and then I wanna do another one again at 100. So we're gonna definitely be putting the miles in on this. I'll let you know how it's going at 50 and at 100 miles. So here's a question. Who's tried Skechers Performance line, especially the newer ones with the hyperburst material? What are your thoughts on, like, does it feel cushy to you? Does it feel more responsive to you than other midsole foams? Who's tried it, and what's been your experience with it? Okay, so that's it for today. Hope that you guys enjoyed that review of the Skechers GoRun Ride 8 Hyper. And as always, move with freedom.